I can't wait to see what humans do when they have time to do what they love. Robots aren't buying your product. And as technology kind of engulfs our lives and we embrace that a little bit, that human connection, that human touch is going to be the icing on the cake. It's going to be the most important part of making it all come together.
Well, what's up, my friends, and welcome to AI in Motion, the only podcast that gives you a behind-the-door look at how businesses are actually using AI without a bunch of hype and the technical jargon that tends to be associated with these types of conversations. And my guest today is Chandler Quintin. He is the co-founder and CEO of VideoBrothers. And what we're going to be diving into today is how he has managed to leverage AI to inside of his company to dominate his industry with an incredibly small team. And so I'm excited to talk to him. Chandler, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Huge fan of Motion. You did not pay me to say this, but I cannot wait to be here. And this is such an exciting topic, very relevant, and I am more than happy to talk ad nauseum about what this is. So let's get to it, man.
Well, yeah, man, it's podcast one, so I'm excited to talk to you too. And I think for clarification, just very briefly, tell everybody what VideoBrothers is so they have some context in our conversation, and then we'll kind of spitball from there.
Yeah, for sure. So VideoBrothers, you can think of us like the liquid death of boring B2B marketing. We like to think that we make the most boring companies on earth memorable with the power of fun video advertising. And just for all the business nerds out there, our disruptive innovation is within how we've productized what fun advertising is, but more importantly, how we've amplified the capacity of what a company this size can do with all the tech enablement, the AI, the automations, the integrations. So that way we can provide this fun video magic, those really fun ads that you wish your company could do at a fraction of the cost of any comparable at the same quality, if not much better. So we're here to make fun ads and make brands as memorable as humanly possible.
Yeah, the productization piece was really interesting to me when I was doing the research, because not only I was listening to another interview that you gave, and not only have you managed to productize what you do, which is not, for people who aren't in your space, I don't think they understand the complexity of that, because everybody has unique use cases and unique goals, and to be able to create something that's standardized. But not only that, but you have standardized pricing as well, too. Yeah?
Yeah. That's kind of the mind-blowing thing that people just can't seem to understand from the outside perspective. Even other agency owners, they're wondering how we've done this. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. Every customer might think they're different. They have different use cases, but fundamentally in terms of marketing, the ultimate objective is to be memorable. So if we can kind of use that as our platform, we can build a product around, well, how do you become memorable? What does that product look like? And then that way we can keep it predictable. We can kind of keep it within this box. That way we have predictable timeline and pricing every single time. And that makes it very easy to understand and buy. And that's the pain that the marketers have. So we're here to solve for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I work with clients all day, and that's the number one thing that when they come to me, they're typically, they've got a great product, it's not selling, and they've made it difficult for people to understand what they're buying and what they're getting and how it's being delivered. And so if we can clean up that and standardize those processes. So is that something that AI is helping you leverage in sort of creating the productized workflows that you're using? Or I guess maybe a better question is just kind of take me through your AI assembly line and talk with me a little bit about what has been, assisted, what's completely automated, and then what still requires some sort of human interaction or human touch.
Awesome. Loaded question. Great way to kick off your entire series here with something like that. And I'm prepared to talk about it from kind of all angles. I think AI is a term that can kind of encompass some other things that might not be technically AI, but when you're automating something, when you're integrating softwares together and tools together, I very much do think that is a function of AI. And maybe it even is. Maybe it's within the definition of it. But just from the mainstream definition, a lot of people might not think an automation or an integration is AI. But
that's such a good point. I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm going to. So let's define what you mean when we talk about AI, because for some people, AI is using ChatGPT to do a search or ask a question, right? And then other people, AI are fully automated agents that are handling everything from content creation to distribution, right? So as you're kind of talking through your process, let's make sure that we're identifying exactly what we're talking about when we say AI.
For sure. And I think how I can help that is maybe walk you through how we use tech enablement, AI automations during different parts of our process. I have some key examples there.
Perfect.
But kind of the point of even telling you those stories is to show people that there's places to start with this. I mean, the learning curve for AI is very steep. It's happening very quickly. We hear about a new AI tool every 6 minutes. Seriously, it's insane. And there's a lot of noise out there, and it's very overwhelming, and it's scary, and it's interesting, and there's so much to it. So I hope that some of my examples show people that there are very basic, rudimentary, foundational ways in which you can use, let's call it technology in general, to help you amplify your business, streamline your business, optimize things in ways that we might not have thought of in the past. And so it's very exciting because I think there's an on-ramp for everybody. And I have some examples that will talk to the person that's never done anything before and all the way to the person that's probably fairly advanced with AI. And for huge disclaimer, I've been in the advertising marketing world for almost 20 years, 16 years, I think. And I am not an engineer. I'm very tech averse. I can't code anything, but thanks to awesome platforms like Claude and ChatGPT and even Grok, you're able to create things like Python scripts without even really not knowing how it works, but you know your objective. And the fact that someone that has zero coding experience can make something possible is a magical thing that's turning everybody into a superpower. And I think that is just an incredible opportunity for everybody. And there should be a lot more optimism than there should be fear. So I'm happy to bring you through, talk about a bunch of things, and just get into the weeds. Like, no problem. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So just start wherever you want. Give us an example or a use case that you're now using and how you're deploying it. And let's give these guys something really tactile that gets their brain spinning about how can I use this inside of my business?
Sure. So our tech enablement starts within sales. That's where everything comes from. Nothing in the execution world happens unless a conversation in sales or marketing occurs. So that's actually like the foundational point, the hub, the epicenter, if you will, of all the tech enablement moving forward. So things exist in sales and marketing world until they become an actionable project. And even through that transition, there's a lot of tech that we use to just make that smoother and easier. So in terms of sales, we don't automate any of the sales process. And in fact, I think people are very surprised that I personally have time to talk to everybody that wants my time. And I have that time because I've optimized and made my life entirely as efficient as possible by enabling the noise to be reduced and the volume to be toned down of the things that keep you busy. So now I have all this awesome free time to spend with clients, customers, and prospects, and even networking almost nonstop every day. So I send my actual personalized LinkedIn messages and emails. We've never automated that side of things, but what we have automated is the noise. So it's keeping track of pipeline, moving people from one bucket to another, kind of classifying them very quickly, using AI to kind of drill into some emails and give a sentiment in terms of the conversation, things like that. Things where a human might have to go in and think about those things. Even if it was 30 seconds of time, 30 seconds times 100 times adds up to a huge chunk of time over your week, your month, your year. So in sales, we're using the tech enablement and AI to move things along faster and smoother and to give more time to the sales professional. And in this case, in VideoBrothers' case, that's me, to represent the business with the full force of what I'm capable of. And the best place you can put me is in front of somebody. So tech's enabled me to do that more. And that's like, I'm the first hand raiser to say I was very resistant to AI in the very beginning. But when I realized it was giving me more time for the things I'm awesome at, game changer. It was like a night and day light switch. I was like, I'm sold. This is going to change my world. And it has.
Yeah, go deeper on that, because I think that anytime we look at inside of a business, whether it's an employee or it's an owner, we always want them operating at their highest and best use, right? We don't, what we're trying to eliminate with artificial intelligence is not necessarily employees, but we're trying to eliminate all of the things that are not optimal for that person and their skill set, right? So obviously as owners, and especially for small and mid-sized companies, we're the face, like we're the guy you talk to, we're the guy who does the selling. And so talk to me more deeply about what does the process look like then that's allowing you this, freeing up your time? What sort of tools are you using, and what sort of processes have you put together to help eliminate that sort of like mundane, useless stuff for you so you can spend more time selling and growing?
Well, that's an awesome question. There's a handful of tools that I really love and I use. And in sales, it kind of revolves around a few different things. Motion being the thing that runs my calendar, runs my day to day, keeps me accountable to the tasks I have to do, especially for the things that are in between sales activities, right? If I'm participating in marketing or I've got a podcast like this to do, I want to make sure I still get my work done in between all of the things that pop up and just happen here and there. So I'll use AI and automation to prep for prospect meetings, for example. I like to create a daily general report on all of my daily calls. I'm not looking for deep insights. I don't really need a huge, dossier on who I'm talking to, but I want to know what industry they're in. I want to know what they've done in the past. I want to know if there's anything relevant that I can connect a dot with to kind of build a common foundation with the stranger I might be meeting that afternoon. So it's really nice to get a few sentence summary of who I'm talking to. That way I can kind of get in the mindset and build my mental momentum to get excited for this call, because I think the best salespeople out there, the best people that represent brands are the ones that are showing up like 100%. So not having to do that research if I didn't have the right time, if I was behind on something, maybe I didn't get enough sleep the night before. So for that to happen and be spoon-fed to me is just a magical thing. And again, maybe I'm saving myself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but man, I'll tell you that adds up. But it's not only the time it's saving, it's the reduction of stress and noise. Yeah. And I don't think people realize how valuable that is.
Yeah. So are you using just like ChatGPT? Because I'm thinking about just the way I prep for a show like this is the first thing I do is I wrote a prompt, a very thorough prompt that I feed into, an O3 version of ChatGPT, which for everybody who doesn't know anything about it, that's the deep knowledge sort of thing, the deep research. And I just said, this is who it is. This is who they are. So you can verify who they are. And then here's everything I want to know about them and everything I could find. And it delivers me like probably a more detailed report than you would want just to have a sales call. But is that the kind of the process you're using there?
Yeah, exactly. So aside from Motion, I do a lot of my data work within a product called Airtable. I'm a big Airtable fan. It's fantastic because there are so many ways to leverage data once you understand how it works and once you understand how relational databases work and what you can do when databases are talking with each other. And on top of that, what you can power in terms of the automations built into Airtable as well as their AI. So I have an automation every morning that scans my calls, goes through the call records for that day, then sends out a few brief pieces of information through the Airtable automation out to Zapier, runs it through a Python script or two to organize that information in a nice clean format. So that way my prompt is accurate every time. I'll leverage a Python automation to kind of do that for me. Again, I don't know how Python works. I think it's magic, but luckily I've learned enough to be dangerous, and it's been instrumental to help me get this mess of data into something actionable. So that way a GPT prompt, a custom prompt that I've made can take that information. It kind of expects what I'm going to give it. So that way the output is the same every time. And that's extremely exciting because then it will do its magic, send it back to Airtable. And then once it's there, there'll be a success, label change. And then that will trigger a little notification through my Slack or my email, depending on if I'm in or out of office, and give me that report right then and there. Which is awesome. It's kind of like having a virtual assistant that's kind of looking out for me. And I can run this report, anytime. I like to do it every morning. I used to have it be done automatically, but I start my day at different times, different days. So I just like to sit there, hit the magic button. I even call them fun buttons. That's how I make my automations happen. I have a whole table of fun buttons that do different things. And then it comes to life, and I'm off to the races with my day.
I think it's important, or it's interesting to point out, I don't think that business owners who are coming to this, in January of this year, I didn't know much about AI other than how to use ChatGPT and Perplexity, right? Those are very basic sort of tools that are now available to anybody who wants to use them. And I think for a lot of business owners, they see the chasm between being able to open up ChatGPT and being able to do what you said, which is Airtable, and have it call to records and have prompts built and have those prompts send it back and have it changed up in Airtable. I think that they see a big chasm there, but it's really not as far apart as people think it is. For example, over the last 2 weeks, I coded my own AI assistant that can handle scheduling for me, and I have no coding ability either. Like I can't write a stitch of code. And they have the tools that are available now, and the access to information, the ease at which you can put this stuff together is really amazing. And so I think that if you're thinking about this as level one is really just using basic ChatGPT for free, and then level two is maybe using some advanced prompting to get a little better background, or you're feeding data into it about your business and who you are, get you better results from there. And then level three being, oh, now I'm going to go use make.com or something to build like a workflow where AI can talk to some other tools, and then all the way up to building full agents. I don't think the distance between level 1 and level 4 or 5 is really as wide as people think it is. Do you feel the same way?
I couldn't agree more, because that's actually how you get to level 2 and level 3 is you need to start at level 1. And that's exactly what I did. I was just kind of roughly exploring ChatGPT. Then all of a sudden I have a curious idea, and I asked ChatGPT, well, how would you do something like this? And then it would give me suggestions. Hey, do you want me to mock up what that Airtable database schema might look like? And I'm like, oh, it can do that? Oh, interesting. It was kind of giving me the breadcrumbs to get to level 2 and to get to level 3 and to get to level 4. And that's kind of one of the coolest things about all of this is using AI as your co-pilot to think of these things, to build these things, to execute them, to test them, and then to optimize them and make them even better. Because you and I both know you can make an automation today, and you could very well improve that automation or that optimization every single day forever to make it faster, smarter, more intelligent, more slick. I mean, you can never get to a finish line. So it's kind of fun and interesting to think about how the fundamental layer can help you get there and evolve you as you go and kind of be your co-pilot. And I think that's one of the coolest things is you're not alone, right? You don't have to figure all this out on your own. You have these resources, especially in ChatGPT, which is so good, and so many different models in there for different uses to really tell you the story and give you the information that you need right then and there when you need it, and then make it actionable. And I love that the memory there lasts a long time. I think it's actually lifetime memory they have. So when you're on the paid plan, so all the little ideas you had 6 months ago, which you might not have been as skilled at or fully understood, it can go and revisit those things with you, which is super cool because I'm going back to ideas I had months ago that I couldn't pull off. And now I'm like getting good enough where I can. So luckily it remembered it all. And man, what a great co-pilot to have, someone that always has your back, right? It's the best.
I love that idea, that concept of the co-pilot. It was one of the big kind of reality shifting moments for me. I can't remember who said it. I wish I could, but they said, stop thinking about AI or ChatGPT as a tool and start thinking of it as a partner. And converse with it, ask it questions, give it feedback, just like you would an employee. Like if you told an employee to do something and they returned you garbage, right? You would either come in and say, no, this is garbage, right? Here, fix these things. Or you would say, I don't know how to make you understand what to do. Tell me what it is that you don't get. And the funny thing is if you go into these very basic models and you tell them that stuff, they will feed you back exactly what they need in order to give you the output that you want. And it's when you start thinking of it like a co-pilot, it changes everything and it changes the way you interact with the technology.
Oh yeah, the first things I learned, actually I got this from my co-founder, Brian, who is extremely advanced in AI. He's so into it. He's building all sorts of custom GPTs for our company, for himself, for the creative process. And he gave me a really great piece of advice that I give to anybody who's even just dabbling in AI, especially your chat GPTs and kind of the mainstream stuff, is ask the platforms what information they would need to be successful before you do anything. And you'll think it will give you things that you hadn't thought of, and it will be such good information to then give you an awesome result back. And you got to kind of be willing to play ball and have conversation with it. It's not here's some information, I got my gold. It's no, you're actually working with it. You're actually massaging how it's learning from you and refining it. And then eventually you can get to the point where before you type in something that you're looking to do with ChatGPT, and it's going to preemptively ask you the things that it's looking for that it needs to be successful, because it knows that you would commonly ask that next. So, hey, before I get started, here are 5 things I need from you in order to be successful here. Could you answer these for me? And then we'll get back to it. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So that advice from Brian was transformative because it started to get me in tune with having a back and forth with it, which is a little weird, right? It's a little weird, especially when it's injecting personality and it's starting to sound like you or sound like your co-founder. Like my ChatGPT sounds like Brian, and Brian claims that his ChatGPT sounds like me. It's almost like we've built these like virtual extensions of each other as co-founders in like this virtual weird world. So I give him advice on what I do, and he gives me advice on what he's doing, and it's kind of improving our models and what we're building together, which is like really, really cool and fun. And it just makes it more approachable as well, because it takes the stress out of needing to know all the information before achieving something. It should ask you the right questions to get you there.
Yeah. So on that same vein, topic, when I think a lot of business owners, when they look at, everybody recognizes that we're going this way. And I think everybody, unless they're foolish, recognizes that if they don't learn this, they're going to be suffering. Cause I mean, we haven't talked about this yet, but you have a team of 5, yes?
Our core team is only 5 people, and most of the market is like extremely confused about how that's even possible.
Well, how much content are you producing every single month or every single week?
Well, every ad suite we do is hundreds of assets, and these are big productions. We're making teaser ads, hero ads, follow-up ads, reminder ads, photos. We're doing a whole cinematic universe of content per client, and we typically work with anywhere from 10 to 12 clients at a time. By the time we've like rolled off the finish line of some clients, we already have more in the queue. We are extremely, extremely busy. I think we pump out more creative volume than shops that are 5 times the size of us, 10 times the size of us. And I only do know that because unfortunately for us, we get a lot of the work. And that's because we have a disruptive thing that's different and easier to understand than what's currently out there in market. And thanks to the tech enablement, we're able to like really scale up with very small amount of people. Now, our productions, of course, are not 5 people. Our core team is our creative team, our strategy, our marketing, sales. That's all one core unit. The productions, we crew up. We have a studio out in Colorado. We bring in people for those productions, so it's a little bit different, but we do a lot of volume. And we're actually trying to prove right now, this is the phase of the business that we're in, is how much can we scale based on the current team size we have, so we can understand who the next best hire is to accelerate the growth of the business. It's not a one-to-one with this 5-person team. It's not like, oh, we'll get another 5 people and we'll 2x from there. No, it's a little different than that, because the tech enablement has kind of changed the curve of how growth happens when you bring in a new individual. So we've actually saved ourselves a lot of time and money by not having to hire people when we thought we needed them. And we're now getting to the point where we know exactly when we need this. And in fact, AI is helping us on a weekly basis understand our current capacity so we can make those future predictions of who we might need. And I will tell you this, every kind of projection that AI gives us in terms of who we should bring on has not matched what we think in real time, meaning the problems that we're experiencing, the challenges that we have are sometimes muddied or cloudy based off of noise that's happening, when the AI can kind of see through all that and say, actually, you think you might need another project manager, but what you actually need is an art director. Whoa, how is that such a different answer? Well, the AI can go through, look at capacity, see where there's friction, see where there's been things that are delayed, things that are ahead of schedule, and make that decision for you, at least give you a potential option that's unexpected. So that's another little trick we're using behind the scenes to figure out how to grow the business.
Well, so on that, you talk about, I was, again, reading and watching some of the other stuff that you put out, and one of your philosophies, if I understand it, is that, really recognizing the boundaries of artificial intelligence, and that some things just need human interaction. And the quote that I got from you, I don't know if it's accurate, it says, automate for scale, but humanize for impact. So where is that line for you in your business? Where are you? Where is the automation cutting out and the human interaction entering, and what does that process look like?
Super awesome question, because I do think that philosophy is important. And, I'm not saying my philosophy is the best, but it's a really easy, fundamental way to understand what's going on around us. And it kind of helps quell some fears that people might have around AI replacing them as a person or a job or role or a function. And the way we look at it is this. So in any business, especially our business, especially a creative business with a lot of variables, there's a lot of noise there, a lot of noise. I mean, an incredible amount of noise. Now, when I said we have 12 clients at a time, so imagine a highly complex project with thousands of moving pieces and hundreds of deliverables And now you're multiplying that by 12, and they're all happening at different times. Maybe they're a little staggered. Maybe a bunch are happening at the same time. How does anybody even sort through that or think about it? So when you're tech enabling for scale and you're humanizing for impact, you're basically taking that noise, you're reducing the volume, you're making it quieter, you're making it more manageable, you're making the stress kind of alleviate itself a little bit. You're taking functions of people's workflow and turning that into the project management in some ways by using tech, right? When someone finishes something, rather than tell your project management system that you're done with the task, well, not only when you check that box, but have it trigger a bunch of other things too. We love using motion for stuff like that, actually. It's awesome. So what that does is that brings you a whole bunch more capacity that you didn't know you had. So the human being, the person that we really value the most, the creative mind, the thinker, the problem solver, the person with the nuance and the context and values human relationships, that person, that role is going to have a lot more time to be awesome at that. And when you're awesome at that, then everything else becomes a little bit easier. So the humans need to be kind of empowered to do their best work, to do their superpower. I mean, I want everybody at Video Brothers to do the things that they are set on this planet to do, what they're really great at, what they excel at, and more importantly, what they love doing, what they have fun doing. And if you don't reduce the noise or volume, you're going to have more headcount. You're going to have people doing things they don't want to do. You're going to have people not reaching their full potential of their superpower. You're going to have people doing tasks that are taking too much time or just, stressful to even think about. So the more we can reduce that, the more we can scale with human resources. And I think that's exciting because that should be very, very promising for people that are worried about AI. Because tell that same person, think of the one thing you love doing at work. Now imagine that was all you had to do and it was awesome every day. That is your future with AI when used properly, when used for scale versus for the impact part of it.
Did you have any issues with buy-in from the people who work for you? Because I just know, like, I've been a copywriter for 15 years, and I can tell you right now, Claude can produce the newest version of that can produce copy that's as good as any novice and most associate like level copywriters, and so they're either learning how to implement that and just do a better job of getting a result out, or they're losing work to a guy like me or another company that might have hired them because they're like, I can get us 90% of the way there. And I think that's true for most people in creative industries. There's at least some skepticism that, dude, if we I'm going to implement myself out of a job, right? And so
Right.
Did you have any issues with that?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we bump into a little friction here and there. I don't want to say all the time, but sometimes. And there's good reason for that, and it's not an unnatural thing, and it's not anything that bothers anybody. It's more so helping shift the perspective of what that person's thinking about, how they're viewing AI, how they're viewing the impact to them. And I think really understanding that you need to empathize with the fear of the great unknown, right? Like you need to really empathize with that it's valid to be kind of afraid of it. It's valid to push off AI. Like I totally get it. I was that person. I'm like the poster child for a convert here. And I have a strategy that we employ here that me and Brian try to extend to our entire team. Even if they are on board, we still have to do this from time to time. So I'll tell you what that is. So my advice for anybody trying to get people on board with AI, automation, optimization, is to shift that person's perspective by showing them an example that is extremely meaningful to them. So what you do is you'll like, for example, our producer. This is a great example. A typical film producer doesn't come from a world of tech. They're in studios all the time. They're working on set. They're making phone calls. They're doing emails. They're doing like kind of the foundational stuff of most communication type businesses. And most producers are very averse to technology because they're just not as exposed to it as much. So our producer, he was a little bit resistant to understanding the value of what this was because I made the mistake of saying, hey man, imagine you don't have to ever make a call sheet or email it to the crew ever again. Doesn't that sound great? And he was like, oh, I mean, like, I like that part. I like reaching out to the crew and I like that stuff. And I was like, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to marginalize like something you're excited about, But why don't you walk me through how long something like that takes? And then let's talk about all the data that goes into that to see how daunting of a task that actually really is. And so I kind of get his attention a little bit, and then we start to kind of chat through it. So when he's going to create a call sheet or maybe even a budget and do all this communication, he's got to, create that by using individual data points that he's cutting and pasting from some other spreadsheet. Maybe he's writing it freestyle. He's planning in his head. He's putting all these data points together, moving it around. Then he's got to go find the emails of all the crew members, put that in there, make sure they're all right. He's got to write the email, make sure the links are correct. I mean, it just goes on and on about all the stuff you have to do to accomplish that task. And when I mentioned the data points, in a single VideoBrothers production call sheet, there is over 500 unique pieces of data. There's first name, last name, email, call time. Call times are different per person. There might be actors on certain days and not on other days. There's weather, there's nearest hospital. I mean, it's an insane amount of data. So when we kind of mapped it out, I said, this is a lot of stuff, and this is taking you kind of a long time. And there are some other tools out there that might help, but they're just not as streamlined as you'd like them to be. So when I was able to go, okay, let me take some of the load of thinking about this off of your plate, and let me show you a new way to go through this process that's going to be a lot faster, it's going to be a lot more accurate, and it's going to reduce the stress of you thinking about there being an error, but also that subconscious stress of you having to get all these 400, 500 plus data points in the right spot at the right time. And you got to do it fast because, hey man, things are moving, right? So it's like you're diffusing a bomb. So I built him some very, very basic, very ugly Airtable solutions using some integrations with make.com and using a warehouse of our crew roster and all sorts of little templates that we have for call sheets and things like that. And I was able to get a multi-hour, multi-day process down to a couple button clicks and just making sure you're linking records before you hit that magic button. So 30 minutes, that used to be a 8-hour task to do some complex stuff. And that was like a game changer for this person because now they had time to go deal with this other problem that was sucking up a bunch of time from them. And that's a great opportunity to say, all right, you kind of see where we're going with this? Pretty cool, right? Now you have a lot more time for the important stuff. So what else is lurking around that we can start to minimize the stress and the noise from? And the next thing we did, we went into budget creation. And then we went into after the shoot communication with like payroll and onboarding and things like that. So it's just finding that moment where you can really impact someone's day to day in a way that takes away some negativity from them. And if you can do that, you kind of want a point there because no one can really argue. If you save someone time, you can't argue that that's a bad thing, right? So it's a good starting point, and then it kind of opens up their eyes. And the most magical thing that happens in this, say you do this a couple times, that person's going to come back to you and say, hey, I'm thinking about maybe we work some of this automation magic on our casting process. Like, what do you think? I think we could really do some damage here if we kind of did what you did here, but maybe over here. And then you go, all right, you're getting it now. You're understanding the value. Because, man, once you take someone who's a level 10 stress down to a 6, their life changes. And then they're a better human being outside of work. I mean, it's insane to think about the ramifications of doing something like that, especially when it comes to stress and thinking about stuff that's you don't really need to think about anymore.
Well, I'm really glad you brought that up because I think, overcoming there are obviously industries where the employees are very risk averse to using artificial intelligence. They just don't want to use it because they're afraid they might lose their jobs. But there are other industries that have employees and they're not worried about losing their job, but like you said, there are ways that they can implement that will save them time, help them be more efficient, reduce their stress. And their big hurdle that they have to overcome with those folks is, oh, now I got another piece of technology I got to learn. I just got done learning the bookkeeping software and I just got learned the custom service that we use for this. And now I got to go and I got to learn artificial intelligence so that I can now do this. And so I think your approach is exactly right, which is to show them something small that has a big, meaningful impact on their life inside of their job that will reduce their stress. And then once they kind of like get that level 1 out of the way and they start building, now all of a sudden, as you say, they're sold. And now it's just a creative game of how do we automate this so I don't have to touch it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching on something that I don't think a lot of people want to say. especially the people that are building these products, is sometimes it's like, okay, so what, right? Like you need to be able to kind of like conquer that and answer that. Like just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. So you need to find like the why in doing all of this. And I mean, I always try to go down to time, because time is our most valuable asset. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. And hopefully we do something productive along the way. And if time is the most valuable asset, then that should be the most valued thing that we can help save. And once you get someone on board with it, it's really interesting to see the transformation, because they find their own inspiration in it as well, and their own uses. And that even gets more amplified if they're having fun doing it. I mean, a lot of what I do with AI is making fun stuff. I make fun graphics, and I bat around ideas, and I have fun with it. I enjoy using the product, and you got to get there. You got to cross that bridge. And I think that the people that are worried about, well, what are they going to do if I've automated all these things? You'll find something, and you'll probably advance your career, because you're going to be looking for more fires and problems to put out. And that's a very, very valuable employee. It's a very valuable founder. The more time you have to solve problems, the better. And what's happening in reality, just by the speed of which things are going and how complex businesses are, even simple ones, you don't have time for that all the time. And you need that. That's how we're all going to grow and innovate. And I think the future is going to be really exciting when people get behind it. And I think we're in the very, very early stages. I think that it's barely mainstream compared to where it could go and where it should go and where it will go.
Yeah, I get the sense that this is kind of like 1995 of the internet, where everybody kind of sees that this is going to be a thing. And there's this small group of business owners and sort of like, just lovers of the technology that are really into it. And they're like you, and they're starting to build stuff out, and they're starting to get a sense of what this could look like. But the broader business community, I don't think really is doing anything close to the level that you're operating at. Most of them are still in that kind of level one. I'm dipping my toe in the water and trying to wrap my head around, okay, how does this apply to me and my space? And so that's why I think these conversations are really valuable, and why I wanted to do the show is because like I said, a year ago, I didn't know any of this stuff. I have really poured myself into it over the last 6-8 months, and become what I would consider to be, I'm building my own agent. So I guess I'm pretty far above most people that you're going to talk to in business. But I still feel like I'm just scratching the surface. So looking out, and I know every industry is different, but what does business look like? Whether you want to talk about your industry or industry in general, what does it look like in 5 years? I mean, what sort of technology, what sort of stuff are you sitting on right now that you're like, I wish we could do this, that you think over the next few years is just going to would revolutionize the way you guys do business?
I love this question, and this is a great time to have this conversation, because if you asked me a year ago, my opinion would be totally different from what it is right now. And it's surprising, especially in the business I'm in. So let me answer a year ago's version, and then let me answer now. So a year ago, I would say, from a business perspective, live production is the most expensive part of our project. We got to rent a studio. We need 10 actors. We need a crew of 30 people. We got to rent cameras. We got to rent lights. We got to do this and this and this. It's the most expensive piece. A year ago, I would have said, if you could automate any of that and reduce some of those line items and be more efficient, we'd make more profit as a company. We'd be able to do more output, yada, yada. And that was kind of like not a great thought to have, because you're working with these people all the time that make this art, and you're saying out loud that, like, man, you can't wait to replace them. That was very immature, juvenile, totally not well thought out, and from a point of view of having very little insight and experience into AI. So fast forward a year, as I've streamlined my professional life, my personal life, my business partner, Brian, has done wonders with our business, building tools that help us achieve what seems to be impossible. And seeing that transformation, I think now the answer, or the response would be, I can't wait to see what humans do when they have time to do what they love. And I think that is going to create new businesses, new opportunities. It's going to shift how workforces are even built and created, because you're going to have a lot more brain power on the most important thing. And at the end of the day, most of, you can identify that as the human being on the other end of your business, your customer. Robots aren't buying your product. It's always a human. There's going to be some sort of human interaction at some point. And as technology kind of engulfs our lives and we embrace that a little bit, that human connection, that human touch is going to be the icing on the cake. It's going to be the most important part of making it all come together.
And I don't even think of it like, obviously, I mean, ultimately, we have two ways when we increase productivity, no matter how we do it, we've got two options. We can either fill that up with additional work so we can get more productive, or we can use it for anything else, right? I'm just a firm believer that life was meant to be lived abundantly. And I've got a very unique philosophy about business that just says we should be focused on the amount of time freedom and income mobility a company generates, not how much revenue it generates, right? Mm-hmm. And this comes from a guy who, ran a multi-million-dollar business with 12 people on 2 continents and just had, I was stressed out, maxed out, and I live way better today, just as a total life. But I think a lot of times we look at business and we say, oh, the purpose of business is to generate revenue. And I say, no, that's like saying the purpose of living is to get oxygen, right?
Right.
It's like, no, oxygen's necessary for life, but it's not the purpose of life. And so I think that the world I want to wake up to every day, and it's the one that you just outlined, is I want to wake up every day and get to explore my creative outlet, whatever that is, and to not have to worry about any of the other drudgery that I hate doing inside of the business, which is pretty much anything that's not creative. I love client-facing stuff. I love getting in the weeds and solving problems or coming up with weird solutions. That's where I really love spending all my time. And I can't wait for the day that AI takes all of that off of my plate. But it's just an awesome world to think about. But anyway, I guess we can wrap this up, man. I really appreciate you being on, but how does everybody find you if they want to check you out and find out what you're doing? Where do they go?
Cool. So our business, we really centralize all over LinkedIn. You can find us on LinkedIn. We all have upside down yellow headshots there, or you can go to funb2bads.com. You can go to videobrothers.com. It's going to redirect you right to fun B2B ads, because that's what we do. We want the world to know we make fun B2B ads, which is kind of a new thing for them, but we're here to represent that and really bring it home for everybody. And before I sign off, this is for all of the people that work at Motion. I have been not incentivized or paid to say this. Motion is the product that is the best entry point to understand the value of AI, and I can't stress that enough. Brian, my co-founder, he got me addicted to Motion. I was very resistant to it because I've used every single project manager, task manager under the sun in my 16, 17 years of doing this. I mean, I've used everything. And the thing I love about Motion, and I'm going to tell you this will change your life, and I'm sorry if you didn't want this plug, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. It operates off your calendar. Your calendar is your time. Your time is your most valuable asset. When your time is managed efficiently for you, your life will change. You'll get more done. You'll be happier. You'll be ahead of the curve. You're going to get a lot more output from your team. And the magic doesn't start when just one person's using it. When your whole team gets on board, it's insane. And I am happy to promote Motion to the end of time because it was my on-ramp into even getting curious about what AI could do. And you guys approach it in such an appropriate way. It's fun, and it's a really, really great product. I get nothing out of saying that, but I love the product, and I hope you keep making awesome iterations to it. We're big fans, and without Motion, we would not be able to perform the work of a 50-person team with 5 people. So thank you for all the engineers at Motion. We love you a ton, and I hope more people give it a shot because it will change your life. No other project management system operates off your calendar the way Motion does, and it's a game changer. So, well,
I always appreciate a shameless plug, and I'll just say this. I'm new to the team. They brought me in to to kind of manage this part of the marketing that they're doing, and what impresses me most about the company itself, the people that I've been introduced to, is not only are they seem to be really great people, but the bigger thing for me is that they are passionate. I sat in on a marketing meeting the last week, and I'll probably edit all this out, but I sat in a marketing meeting last week. Man, everybody was excited about where the company was going and all the new features that were coming out. I was excited because I've been a user of Motion for a long time before I came to work with them. And to know that you've got this company that's got this great product and great people who are all passionate, I mean, that's just another reason to, to go and give it a try if you haven't. But anyway, Chandler, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. Great conversation. And guys, check him out. And if you'd like to check out Motion, there's a link in the description where you can get a free trial. So go down and do that. And we'll talk to you all real soon. So if anything we talked about today got you excited about implementing AI into your business, and you're just looking for a really easy way to get started, then I highly recommend that you test out Motion. They have built a killer project management tool with hundreds of thousands of users, and now they've even layered in AI agents that can do the work for you. And because Motion tracks all of your projects and knows what's happening inside of your business, their AI has the context that it needs to deliver amazing results for you and your business. And the best part is there's a special link in the description where you can try it out for free. So make sure that you check that out now, and make sure you like and subscribe, hit that bell icon so that you never miss a single episode. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.